The approach was something that we probably expected that they will try and put probably 430, 440 on the board. So we were also trying to manage our overs accordingly. The recent success or not sure, I'm not really sure about what went inside the dressing room, but I'd like to think in test match cricket, the bowlers being tired and coming out to again wheel out another spell, all these things get factored in. So it's their management call and I'm not very aware of it. I think they had two options in front of them in the morning. They could have either asked us to follow on, or they would have, the only reasoning I can see is they wanted to give a bit of a rest to their bowlers, which is a part of the game that's not very well, sometimes that is not very well understood from the outside. So that could have been the thinking that's gone inside, wanting to bat again and give their bowlers an extended rest, because sometimes fresh bowlers can do the trick more than tiring bowlers. So that's all I can think of it. Look, Ishant has been one of the most hardworking cricketers that I have seen in that Indian team dressing room. He's worked extremely hard for more than just one reason, because being that tall itself requires a lot of facets to be managed through a career which has spanned out to almost 14 years now, if I'm not wrong with the number. So from the Ishant that went to Australia, got Ricky Ponting out, and then has gone through so many other tours. He's had his fair share of injuries. For a fast bowler to get close to 100 tests in India is not a joke, and it's a fantastic achievement. And 300 club, he's the third Indian fast bowler to get there, and the only one that's closer to him after that is probably Javagal Srinath, who's the match referee of this game. So I can keep going on and keep complimenting Ishant, but I really do wish to see him get to 400 and probably 500, which will be a sort of a roadmap for a lot of Indian quicks going forward. See, this game, the ball was pretty, it was very bizarre for us, because I've never seen an SG ball tear through the seam like that before. It could well be a combination of how hard the pitch was on the first 2 days. Even in the second innings, after the 35th, 40th over, the seam started to sort of peel off. It was bizarre. I haven't seen an SG ball like that in the last so many years. But yeah, maybe it could be due to the pitch and the hardness of it through the center, which is making the ball get scuffed up like that. But we will have an answer for it going through the series. Even in the first innings, Jassi got a couple of LBWs. I think he might have even dismissed Dom Best's LBW with the one that just probably stayed a bit low. There are a few things that we need to understand when it comes to Jassi's bowling. The arm path is very different to that of what Anderson and Archer have, and these two are exponents of the subcontinent conditions. They've been playing first class cricket through in India, so I think it's a facet of the game. Sometimes it goes unnoticed or unobserved from the outside, which I think might not necessarily happen. Do you think the wicket will play nicely? In the first innings, the number of sweeps he played off me was very, very minimal. He was very careful in how he was going to sweep, because we had plans in place and we had lines in place. When good players play, you can make your plans. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But if you have the further question to go on from there, I'll let you ask me now. When he probably did that in the second innings, he was not at the same comfort level. I thought he was getting beaten in the flight, and it does make a difference when you play on a day 1 pitch and a day 4 pitch. There is a massive difference. It's not the same, because the pitch out here tends to get slower and slower, and the runs start to go a little squarer off the pitch, which is something that as a player from this part of the country I do understand, and that's how it works. I've seen quite a few interesting observations on what people think of what might happen and what might not, but as a cricketer, that's the last thing that will go through my head. And for me, I'm part and parcel of my club cricket days were like bowling 35-40 overs in a day and probably go back to the net and again bowl. When it comes to bowling, it's the joy that I have out there in bowling. Even if some parts of my body are not responding properly, I can still keep going. That's how much I really love my art, and I wouldn't even go that route and think. My body is, today morning was pretty fresh again when I wanted to come out and bat, so I would think I just want to keep bowling as long as I'm bowling well. We actually did believe that we can wipe out the follow-on and even go on big, because we played on pitches here, both Washi and I, and we sort of understand how it can be slow and we need to pick our shots and pick our battles properly. In fact, we got nicely settled in, but I thought the ball bounced a little too much on that particular delivery. But having grown up playing club cricket in Chennai and all, playing spin is one facet of the game that I think anybody coming from this part will do really well. And Washi is a fantastic batsman. I think a lot of people going by the T20 format where he plays at number 7 and all that don't recognize his batting talent. He's quite a special batsman.